What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Blue Line Patriot. So today we're going to be doing some tactical science, and what I mean by that is I'm still in the search for my next defensive ammunition. Right now I'm carrying in my Hellcat Pro Spear Gold Dot 115 grain jacketed hollow points, and it's a good ammunition. It's actually really good. The problem that I'm having with it is that my training ammunition groups pretty significantly to the right of where my, especially at 15 yards, pretty significantly to the right of my training ammo. My training ammo is 115 grain MagTech full metal jacket ball ammo, and I like the MagTech ammo. It's clean. It's I want to say consistent, for lack of a better word. We'll use consistent. It's dependable. It's cheap, you know. So those are all good, you know, good factors, right? Especially for training ammunition nowadays. So anyway, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find defensive ammunition that'll group very similar, if not the same, as my training ammunition. And so, you know, I bought a couple of different types of defensive ammo last time around. I did a video on that. It's probably, I think it's my last video I did. If it's not my last video, it's the one right before that. So I went to the range and kind of compared and contrasted a bunch of defensive ammunitions, and out of all of them, the Spear Gold Dot 115 grain was the best fit. So what I did is I, you know, zeroed my Hellcat Pro to the Spear Gold Dot. And like I said, my training ammunition prints differently, so I do have a disparity, and I really see it at 15 yards. So I'm trying to find stuff that'll group very similarly to my training ammo. So the 5 criteria that I'm going to be looking at this next group of ammo is grouping. Like I mentioned, I want my groupings to be very similar, tight, very similar to my training ammo. I need that ammunition to be dependable, so no jams, no misfeeds, no whatever. Flash, I want 0 flash out of my defensive ammo, or my carry ammo, if you will. The reason for that is because, I mean, I think it's kind of self-explanatory. If you have flash, you're obstructing your sight picture, especially in low light, nighttime settings. Plus, it's a signature. You're giving your position away, where, you know, a crack and a boom might be, you know, might give you an area direction, but a flash is going to pinpoint exactly where you are. So, you know, no flash. I want a very low signature. Recoil, I want as soft recoil as I could possibly get out of the ammo. Not that 9mm recoil is a lot, but the Hellcat Pro itself is pretty snappy, I guess you can say. I hear a lot of people out there saying, you know, they use snappy when they're talking about a 115 grain round as opposed to like a 147 or 124. I don't really get, and I've been griping on this since I've been talking about the Hellcat Pro, but people will say that, oh, especially when it comes to the Hellcat Pro, they'll start running their mouth about how 124 grain and 147 grain recoil softer than 119 grain, or I'm sorry, 115 grain, and 115 grain is more snappy than the heavy stuff. I don't understand where they're coming from. Snappy to me means recoil. So I've never in my life had an experience where a heavier bullet recoils less than a lighter bullet. So I don't know why people keep regurgitating that. It's almost like they hear it somewhere and they don't think about it objectively, and they just repeat it for whatever reason. I have not found that the heavier ammo is less snappy than the lighter ammo. I don't understand this thought process. But anyway, whatever, it is what it is. So recoil, and then the 5th criteria that I'm looking for is integrity of the round. So I want a round basically that you know, when I keep it in my magazine for long periods of time, the shell is not gonna crimp around the actual projectile like other ammunitions I've had before do. It seems kind of common with some ammunitions like Hornady. Hornady seems to have really weak casings. So whatever, it is what it is. But if you watch earlier videos that I have, I demonstrate this and I show you what I'm talking about. So I'm looking for ammo that holds up in the magazine for long periods of time. It doesn't crimp and disform and all that sort of stuff. So that's my 5 criteria that I'm looking for. So, like I said, my training ammunition is ball ammo, MagTech 115 grain, full metal jackets. So the new ammo that I got that I'm going to be testing at the range today is Fiocchi Defense Dynamics 115 grain jacketed hollow points. I got a box of 50 rounds of that. Remington HTP high terminal performance 115 grain jacketed hollow point. I got 50 rounds of that. I got this fancy stuff, sealer and bellet handgun ammunition 115 grain. I got jacketed hollow points. I got 50 rounds of that. And I got some MagTech basic MagTech jacketed hollow point 115 grain, 50 rounds of that. So it doesn't actually say, as far as I can tell, what brand MagTech it is. Like not brand, but I guess make MagTech it is. But it is the jacketed hollow points, and I'm thinking that's my top. It's probably where I'm going to put my money, but at the same time, just because it's 115 grain jacketed hollow point as opposed to a 115 grain full metal jacket doesn't necessarily mean it's going to imprint the same. The flight characteristics are a little bit different. The center of gravity on these rounds are a little different. So it could be that the Remington is my best match. It could be that Fiocchi is my best match. It just kind of depends. So again, my goal for my tactical science today is to find the ammunition that best matches the imprinting of my training ammunition at 15 yards. So yeah, so today's ammunition is going to be a total of 250 rounds. 50 rounds of Fiocchi, 50 rounds of Remington, 50 rounds of Sealer, 50 rounds of MagTech, and also 50 rounds of my training ammo. So it would be the ball ammo MagTech. And after today, after I fire all those rounds, that will have brought my pistol up to excuse me, that'll bring my Hellcat Pro up to 2,250 rounds recorded through my pistol. Now, I definitely have more than that. I'll probably guesstimate somewhere around 2,000, maybe 2,350. But again, that's just random ammo that I fired and didn't record and whatever. So we'll just, for conversation's sake, for the sake of data, we'll just go ahead and say 2,250 rounds will be my total at the end of today's range trip. So unboxing this ammunition, my initial impressions on the Fiocchi ammo is the box itself looks pretty good. It's got a lot of detail on it. I'm not looking at it right now, but I'm pretty sure it's got all the what are they called? All of the like velocity and grain and all the general information on the actual box itself, so that's kind of cool. You don't have to look for it, it's kind of right in your face. The casings themselves look pretty good. The round itself, the actual projectile, the hole on top, it looks pretty crappy. I can't recall having defensive ammo from Fiocchi in the past. I don't remember ever firing it before. I might have, I just don't remember. But I know that their ball ammo is pretty good looking. But this defensive ammo does look pretty crappy. So it's not my first pick. I didn't know it was going to look like this based on the pictures when I bought it online. It didn't look like that, so I don't know. I'm not too crazy about the Fiocchi, but we'll see what it does. The primers themselves look pretty good. They look pretty neat. They're nice looking. Moving forward to Remington. The Remington ammunition, the box on itself looks pretty good. It's got some details. The casings, the casings are as advertised on the box. Basically the round itself, the whole round itself, looks pretty good. I like the opening. I like the hole. I like the I guess the crowning, you can call it. Looks good. Looks the same as it looks on the box. I have no surprises so far just looking at these rounds, unlike the Fiocchi, but The round itself looks really nice. I like it. The primers look good. They're pretty standard, so I don't expect to have any issues with this. Moving on, the sealer ammo. The box itself, pretty fancy. It's got some cursive writing there. But nothing, it doesn't have a fancy name. It just says handgun ammunition, so it's not a particular make of sealer, but whatever. The casings themselves, the brass, look pretty nice, pretty standard. The projectile itself, the hollow point, looks pretty standard, looks pretty nice. I like how it looks. You know, just like Remington, looks pretty good. Let's see here. The primer itself, pretty standard looking. I don't expect to have any issues with the primers, whatever. Nothing fancy going on down there. I know sometimes, you know, some primers will have like a blue glue or something down there, and they look fancy, but this one doesn't. You know, none of these ammos so far have any of that, but whatever. Let's see here. Moving on to the MagTech ammunition, the defensive MagTech ammo. Box itself, pretty nice. It doesn't have any specific name to it. It's just, you know, MagTech. Casings themselves, pretty standard. You know, it's got that decent polish on it. It's brass. Round, looks nice and neat. I like the holes. They look pretty good. The primers, they're pretty standard looking, but they do have a unique marking on them, which is pretty cool. There's like some brand recognition for the MagTech ammo. So that looks pretty cool. So what we're going to do when we get to the range, we're going to go ahead and set a target up at 15 yards. We're going to go ahead and, just like I do every time I go to the range, I take 5 rounds of my current carry ammo, which is the Spear Gold Dot. This is what I'm carrying right now. Spear Gold Dot, 115 grain. So we're going to check our zero at 15 yards. I'm going to go ahead and fire 5 rounds of that, and I'll show you that. That's cold. Next what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire 2 magazines of 10 rounds each of the training ammunition. Now, the first round of 10 rounds is basically just me warming up. That's the MagTech 115 grain full metal jacket rounds. And then I'm going to put my actual target up that I'm going to be using for this test. I'm going to fire that second magazine of 10 rounds, and we're going to see what we got with that. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire 10 rounds of Fiocchi. I'm going to bring the target back, you know, score it, take note of it, take the data. I'm going to put a new target up. I'm going to put the target back out to 15 yards. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to the next ammunition, Remington. I'm going to fire 10 rounds, get a 10-round grouping of that. As soon as I fire those 10 rounds, I'm going to bring the target back. I'm going to get the data from it, put a new target up, put the target back out to 15 yards. I'm going to take the next ammo, Stellar, fire 10 rounds, bring that back, get the data, move on to MagTech, fire my 10 rounds, bring the target back, get the data. So basically what I'm doing is I'm spreading it out. So I'm firing 10 rounds on one type of ammo, I'm moving on to the next type of ammo, firing 10 rounds. Because what I don't want to do is fire, you know, 30 rounds, because I'm going to do three iterations of this. So I'm going to fire 10 rounds 3 times with all of the types of ammo. But what I don't want to do, it's going to be a total of 30 rounds, but what I do not want to do is fire, you know, have Remington up there and fire 30 rounds of Remington and then move on to MagTech and fire, you know, 30 rounds of MagTech and then move on to the next type of ammo and then fire 30 rounds of Stella. And then by the end of it, Fiocchi's grouping the best because I've had the most practice before I fired my 30 rounds of Fiocchi. So I'm mixing it up to kind of, you know, to kind of get the best overall results, more or less. So 30 rounds of each type of ammo. I'm going to do 3 rounds, you know, round 1, round 2, round 3. And then I should have 20 rounds left over in each box, and I'm just going to kind of blow them off to get a little bit more data on the dependability and the feeding and all that sort of stuff. So let's move on to the actual test itself, and we'll see what kind of results we get. All right, guys. So starting our test, we're going to go ahead. We're going to fire 10 rounds of the defensive ammunition. We're going to do that twice. As you can see, I'm not going to record myself shooting. I'm just going to kind of show you the results here. And that basically just trying to speed things up for the sake of time. So the first 10 rounds went out, I'm sorry, the first 5 rounds went out of my defensive ammunition. 0 is pretty good. I just did 5 rounds of that. Next up is my training ammunition, the 115 grain full metal jacket MagTech ammunition. And so I fired 10 rounds of that right into the head there. Got a decent group, that's 15 yards, so whatever. So we're bringing that back. We're going to change the target out to the actual data target that I use. And the data target I use is, it's basically a 25 meter M4 zeroing in piece of paper. The piece of paper is just about as big as any standard copy paper. I think it's like 10 by 11 or whatever. The squares are 1/2 inch squares, so 2 squares would be 1 inch. So that kind of gives you the dynamics of how I'm going to measure the groups and whatnot. So training ammunition, the 10 rounds on the actual data sheet, if you will, gives me a grouping of vertically, we're measuring 4.5 inches, and then so I guess laterally. So the up and down measurements is I guess that'd be vertically is 4.5 inches, and then the across measurement there is I guess horizontally would be 4.5 inches as well. So we're basically grouping at 4.5 inches at 15 yards with the training ammunition. So up next, we're going to be doing Fiocchi. So this Fiocchi Defense Dynamic 115 grain jacketed hollow points. On the first round, and again, I did not do these consecutively. I fired 10 rounds of Fiocchi, changed the target, 10 rounds of Remington, change the target, 10 rounds of Stellar. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk about round 1, round 2, round 3, with each type of ammo here, just to keep the data all kind of together. So the first round, vertically, we got 3.5 inches up and down vertically, by 3 inches horizontally. So we basically have a 3, we'll split the difference and call it a 3.25 inch MOA at 15 yards, which is pretty good grouping. The second, by the time we did the second round, so round 2 would be, I got a vertical measurement of 4 inches, and I got a horizontal measurement of 4 inches. So we opened up a little bit, we came to 4 inches by 4 inches. Now, the problem that I was having with the Fiocchi is that it recoils like a 1800s camera. Huge flash. So I'm sorry, I said recoils, I meant flash. It flashes like an 1800s camera. Big flash, probably the most pronounced flash I've ever had out of pistol ammo in my life. So by round 2, I disqualified it. I didn't even do a round 3 or a third round to it. Its flash was so extreme that automatically it's a disqualifier, because I'm not even going to entertain using that ammunition for duty carry. There's too much flash. And that wasn't even in low light conditions. That was just in an indoor range, and I noticed the flash. It was insane. I will say, if anybody's into making flashbangs, I guess homemade flashbangs or pyrotechnics or whatever mixture that Fiocchi Defense Dynamics uses for their gunpowder is probably an excellent mixture for like a flashbang type of a thing, because like I said, it flashes a lot. So much so that I didn't even bother running a third round through it, or I didn't even bother giving it a round 3, because it was just, as far as I was concerned, after the second round, it was just disqualified. Decent groupings, but definitely a disqualifier when it comes to the flash. So the next ammo up was the Remington HTP, the High Terminal Performance 115 grain jacketed hollow point. And again, I did not do these, you know, I did not do round 1, round 2, round 3 consecutively. I mixed it all up, but I'm consolidating the data into this bit here. So round 1, we had a vertical measurement of less than 3 inches. We had a horizontal measurement by 3 inches at 15 yards. So for that ammo, I was grouping to the left. I'm sorry, I was grouping to the right. And I will say that I got kind of high hopes because my defensive, or my training ammo, that's where my training ammo mostly groups. So my first impressions with round one, I was thinking, man, this is the ammo. It's grouping exactly where I need it to. This is perfect. I can make the adjustment I need. My training ammo is gonna hit exactly where this ammo is imprinting. Sweet. So I get to round two. Round two, I got a grouping of 3.5. So we opened up just a little bit on the vertical measurement, and on the horizontal measurement, I got a 4-inch horizontal. So basically, we'll split the difference on that, and we'll call it 3.25 inches at 15 yards ish. You know, so whatever. That was a pretty decent grouping. You know, at 15 yards, that's not bad. So where we ran into trouble, this is where it all went downhill, is my third grouping, or my third round. On my third round, my vertical measurement was probably about 12 inches. I had two flyers that hit way low, a little bit left, and I don't think that was me because, I mean, it might have been me. I'm not going to say it definitely wasn't, but the problem is that by the time I got to the third round of Remington, I already went through round one, round two of every ammo I had, plus round three. No, never mind. I didn't do round three of Fiochi because it was disqualified. So I went through round one and round two of every ammo that I had so far, and I did not have this problem with any other round pulling that far. So maybe it was me, but I don't think it was, but maybe it was. I don't know. So because of those two extreme flyers, I mean, they weren't even on paper. So because of those two extreme flyers, I kind of just chalked it up to, I'm going to disqualify the Remington at this point because of those two flyers. So the Fiochi is disqualified because of flash. The Remington is disqualified because of the flyers. I might revisit that someday, but for right now, for this lot we had, I'm going to go ahead and call it. Now, if it wasn't for the flyers that I had, the grouping, if we do not count the flyers, the grouping would have been like, oh, you know what, I didn't even write it down. So I had a horizontal measurement there of 2.5 inches, but the vertical measurement is what throws it way off. So like I said, it's just, as far as I'm concerned, the Remington is disqualified. Plus it had I want to say it had probably the most pronounced recoil of all the ammo that I had that day, and it wasn't much. It was just, you can kind of notice it's a little bit more than the rest. So because of that alone and the flyers, it's time to disqualify the Remington ammo. Next up, I had Sealer, I don't even know how to say it, Sealer and Bellet, the fancy stuff, handgun ammunition, 115 grain jacketed hollow point. So the first round, round one, I had a vertical measurement of less than 3 inches, slightly less than 3 inches, and I had a horizontal measurement of 4.5 inches. So I guess we can go ahead and kind of call that maybe like 3.75 to 4 inches at 15 yards, which is a pretty good, you know, pretty good measurement. It did have one flyer on that, but if you kind of take the flyer out of there, it would have been a 3-inch by 3-inch grouping. So I guess we'll just call it a 3-inch grouping at 15 yards. But again, I did have a flyer that was probably me. Flyers on that level, I'm willing to accept 100%. Yeah, it was probably me. Flyers like the Remington did, I had 2 rounds, about a foot low and a little bit left. I don't know if that was me. It might have been, but I don't know. But whatever. So the Sealer and Bellet handgun ammunition, first grouping, like I said, about a 3-inch group, 3.5, something like that, inch group at 15 yards. Let's see here. On the second round, round two, I had a vertical measurement of 4 inches. I had a horizontal measurement of less than 3 inches at 15 yards, which is pretty good. So I guess we can kind of split the difference there and just call it a 3.5-inch grouping at 15 yards. Not bad, not bad. As a matter of fact, that was probably the best group I had all day, and it was with the Sealer and Bellet. Now the third round 3, I had a 2.5 inch measurement for vertical, and I had a 3.5 inch horizontal. So I guess we can go ahead and split the difference on that. Let's see, 2.5, 3.5, middle of that is that. So we'll just call that about a 3-inch group at 15 yards, which is pretty good. I will say that one thing I've noticed about this type of ammunition, it is very soft shooting. It's definitely the softest shooting ammo of the day. I'm pretty sure it's the best grouping I got all day with this type of ammo. So at this point, this ammo is in the lead for first place. It's grouping very similarly to my defensive ammo, so that's great too. Moving on, MagTech. So the MagTech 115 grain jacketed hollow point. Round 1, I had a vertical measurement of 4.5 inches. I had a horizontal measurement of 3 inches. So we'll split the difference on that and call it, let's just call it a 4-inch grouping at 15 yards, which again, 4-inch grouping, not too bad. Round 2, I had a vertical measurement of 3 inches. I had a horizontal measurement of 4.5, which is basically the same thing as my first, what do you call it? My first round with this. So my round 1, basically the same exact measurements, just kind of my vertical and horizontal are flipped, so same measurement. Let's see, now round 3, the third round, I had a vertical measurement of 3 inches. I had a horizontal measurement of 2.5 inches, which is pretty good as well. Matter of fact, let me compare this to, actually this is the best group I had all day. So out of 10 rounds, pretty decent group. So I guess we'll split the difference on this and call it a, I guess we'll go 2.7 inch grouping at 15 yards, which is pretty good. 10 rounds. So at this point, I'm leaning towards the MagTech jacketed hollow points, 115 grains. It's kind of more or less kind of a tie at this point between the Cellar and Billet ammunition and the MagTech ammo for defensive carry. So at this point I have 20 rounds of everything left. So what I did is I blasted off the rest of my Fiocchi, lots of flash. Again, that was disqualified because it flashed a lot. The rounds look crappy, it flashed a lot. The grouping was pretty good, but again, it's just 2 strikes. The flash, the rounds looking like crap. To me, definitely not going to continue with the Fiocchi. Not only that, but I did have a failure to feed. No, never mind, wrong ammo. I did not have a failure to feed, my mistake. Moving on to the Remington. The Remington, went ahead and fired off the rest of the ammo on that. Again, that one was disqualified because of the flyer, but I mean the groupings were pretty decent. If it wasn't for those 2 flyers, it would still be in the running, but because I did have 2 flyers, extreme flyers on that, and I didn't have anything remotely close with anything else, and I am a good shot, so I don't know. It might have been me, but I really don't think so. It might have been a mixture between me and ammo just sucking balls, whatever, but either way, it's disqualified. It performed, we'll give that 3rd place. Fiocchi definitely last place. Remington, we'll give it 3rd place. Stellar and Billet, I ended up disqualifying this because I had a failure to feed. That ammo shot really good groups. It was really soft shooting. It was definitely the 2nd best grouping I had all day. But I was a little bit concerned because it's recoiling so little, so soft. I was kind of concerned about velocity, but again, I could have done a chrono test and kind of figured out, if the velocity is the same between the MagTech and the Stellar and Billet, and the Stellar is just recoiling softer, that is excellent. But again, because I did have a failure to feed with this ammo, that was a disqualifying factor for me. So the winner, surprisingly, lo and behold, is the MagTech 115 grain jacketed hollow point. It grouped the best. I had no malfunctions with it. It's 40 cents a round for defensive ammunition. So, and it groups very, very, very similar to my training ammunition. So, I mean, it seems like obvious, hey man, obviously you're training with that ammo. It's the same make as your training ammo, defense ammo. It's all the same. manufacturer, so surprise, surprise. Yeah, okay, you know, that's cool, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's how it will go every single time. If you have, say, for example, you know, Remington full metal jacket rounds, and then, you know, you have Remington defense ammunitions, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have the same kind of groupings. It could happen, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. Just in my case, it just so happened that MagTech is pretty consistent between its full metal jacket rounds or its ball ammo. As the same, you know, it's pretty consistent when it comes to that ammunition versus its defensive ammunition. At least for me, in my pistol, in my barrel, the way I shoot, it's a very consistent match. So I'm going to stick with that. As far as I'm concerned, the only thing that I have to look at now is the integrity of the round. Alright guys, so it's been about 2 months since I originally started filming this video, and one last thing that I wanted to check as far as the ammo is concerned for the Hellcat Pro is how it holds up, integrity, how it holds up in the magazine. So one thing that I have seen a lot, especially with Hornady rounds, is crimping on these on the brass. So this round has been, or these rounds have been in this magazine. And this magazine has been in my magazine has been loaded into the Hellcat Pro for quite some time, and as you can see, there's no crimping on these rounds. They're all looking pretty good. I'm gonna put them all sideways for you. But yeah, they're all holding up pretty decent. They're all literally just fine, no issues at all. So yeah, Magpul full metal jacket rounds, 115 grain. They're a solid carry ammo. They don't crimp in the magazine, even when the magazine's inserted into the pistol for 2 months at least. So yeah, I'm happy, man. This is definitely the winner, the victor of the competition, and so I'm happy. I'll be moving forward with this ammo, and I guess I'll just stay reported on if there's any substantial updates with this type of ammo, whatever, but I think it's going to work out just fine. But that's about it. I will say, if there's some kind of ammunition where you guys maybe want me to test on the Hellcat Pro, I cannot guarantee that it would work the same way in your Hellcat Pro, but I will be more than happy to test it through my Hellcat Pro and let you guys know how it's running and its dependability at that level. So anyway, that'll do it for this video. I found my new carry ammo. I found my new training ammo. So training ammo, like I said, is just the MagTech 115 grain full metal jacket rounds is my training ammo, and this is the same ammo except for the it's not, obviously not ball ammo. It's jacketed hollow point, so MagTech 115 grain jacketed hollow point ammunition. So I'll be moving forward with that, and that pretty much wraps up the video. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you all next time. Blue Line Patriot signing out.
This is gonna make a video, you fucking idiot, and that video is gonna be everywhere. It's Cleveland this weekend. It's not Cleveland this weekend when this video goes around, because Cleveland will be done.
My ex had a real tangy veg. I bet I can take this.
No, you cannot take this. Smelling salts? We'll go with Norman because he's cocky. There's RHFear.com.